Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 155, I'm very happy to bring back my returning panel with Chris Mathieu, Ryan Patrick Burns, Brandon Thomas, and Frank Castle to help us look into working with our personal and collective shadow. Chris Mathieu is host and creator of Forbidden Knowledge News and the Forbidden Knowledge Network, created to bring his favorite researchers, authors, scientists, and experiencers on to share their knowledge and insights. His podcast features some of the most brilliant and extraordinary people on the planet and has gained an amazing global audience. The Forbidden Knowledge Network is a podcast network that features creators, researchers, authors, and regular people just like himself that want to bring knowledge, truth, and a greater understanding to every person incarnated at this critical time in human history. Ryan Patrick Burns is the creator of the popular podcast Hero Paranormal, and he has done extensive research on the Uintah Basin and the mysterious Skinwalker Ranch. Ryan moved to the desolate and remote basin to investigate the ranch full-time, and he now owns property overlooking the ranch and continues his research. Ryan has also written about his experiences investigating Skinwalker. Brandon Thomas hosts stimulating conversations with his popular podcast called Expanding Reality, whose mantra is the expansion of consciousness cleverly disguised as a podcast. Brandon is also the founder, reality expander of Rediginal Publishing. He is committed to empowering and amplifying the voices and visions of ridiculously original authors and creators. Rediginal is the proud publisher of Expanding Reality, Expanded Insight and Episodic Reflection, Volume 001. It's a companion handbook to the podcast Expanding Reality. Frank Castle is a writer, producer, MC, and a founding member of the music group Heist Click, as well as a neo-shaman. He also hosts inspiring conversations with his popular YouTube podcast called Frank Castle Fearless, where he delves deep into the nature of reality. Frank's most current music project, Sons of the Sun, debuts high-frequency, futuristic nostalgia vibes back into the listening environment of music lovers everywhere. To find out more about my guests, all of the links are featured below in the description. Check us out, subscribe to our channels, leave us comments, and like our videos. Today is part 2 of my 4-part Shadow Light panel series, which will be published on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. Today we will discuss ways to work with our personal shadow. Welcome back, Chris, Ryan, Frank, and Brandon. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing well, thank you.
It's great to be back.
Hell yeah, always.
Awesome. It's just lovely to share space with you. I'm really excited about the discussion today. So we're back to talking about the shadow. The link to the last episode or part 1 will be down in the description. And we talked about exposing the shadow. And this time we're going to talk about working with the shadow. So I thought maybe we could just take turns, go around and talk about how we see the shadow. What is the shadow? And why should we be taking a look at it and working with it?
Totally. I'm gonna kick it off. Shadow, I've heard, is like shadow work itself, I've heard, is not like fearing the worst parts of yourself. It's loving the scariest parts of yourself. And I thought that sort of summed it up, right? It sort of looks at the parts of you that you don't really share with other people. They're absolutely there. They're present in all of us, but it's something that we seem to hide. And so therefore it's a shadow. And is it from sociological programming? Is it from the way we were brought up? Is it, many of those things? I'd say yes, and right to all of that. It just seems like we all are brought through a trauma machine that creates this very splitness in us. Now, is that to say that we're born with the splitness that needs to hide and remain hidden, so therefore we're traumatized to sort of meet it in the middle? Or is it something that due to the trauma we sort of bring on and embody? And in that regard, then it's something that's your responsibility almost to make sure you clear out. In other cases, it's possession. I'll finish it tomorrow. I'm on the last 2 chapters of this thing, The Unquiet Dead by Dr. E. Fiore. I highly recommend this if anybody wants to talk about spirit possession or anything like that. I just think the whole concept is fascinating, of us being like vehicles, and so therefore calling these darker parts of ourselves to begin with is something I'm sort of entertaining the idea of separating from as a whole. Then you bring into this concept like split personalities and all that kind of shit. The shadow goes real deep. So it's as metaphoric with the sides of you that you feel like you want to solve and help and fix, or maybe it's spirit fucking possession, man, and you got something toting around with you, like wanting, like weird stuff in that book, like about gay people inhabiting the opposite sex and then therefore having issues with their sexual relationship with their partner, or alcoholics. Obviously, that's a big one because that was something that they needed in the other life. So like these shadow parts of you, is that what that is, or is it something else? I don't know. It's a weird ass place, but yeah, shadow.
Epic. I actually love that, Brandon. And I'm going to chime in really quick because you said a lot of things that kind of touched a nerve with me, because it's true. And, if you're going to be in a dark place, if I had to be forced to be on like a deserted island and I got to pick people to be like, you guys are the guys I would pick, right? We would turn it into something that we would either get off of the island real quick, or it'd be a place where other people would want to join. And it's a lot like that with the shadow. We embrace, I think we're open-minded enough to embrace the possibility that we are quite literally, as Bob Lazar said in one of his earlier interviews, and this shocked people when he talked about these quote unquote aliens or non-human intelligences, cosmic in nature, talking about humans as containers or husks, that we are literally like vehicles, like he said. I think he nailed it. And it's super important to be okay with the dark side, because it is such a base reality, fundamentally grounding us to our existence. And it reminds me of Joe McMoneagle, one of the best remote viewers on the planet, really. And he would go, he's kind of unique in that he liked to lay down and be in a very quiet, specific spot. Kind of had to be babied into his remote viewing sessions. He couldn't just on the fly, nail this stuff like some of the other guys. But once he was in the zone, he was unstoppable. And he mentioned that in his remote viewing sessions, he would continue to ask the person helping him, what is this? I feel something in here with me. I feel this very base, I'm not going to use the word evil, but very dark, base, kind of grotesque entity in here with me, as soon as he would bounce into his remote viewing sessions. And only later did he come to find out that was his corpse, that was his body, that was his husk, his container. The thing that was grossing him out was actually his meat suit. And it reminds me that, we have to lug these things around like luggage in an airport, because that's what we're given. And we have to embrace it if we're going to be of any value at all to others. And that's all I had. Good points, Brandon.
Fascinating, dude. I love that. That is so interesting that the thing that your darkest side is the physical vessel in which you inhabitate, which further proves the point, dude. It's so interesting, man. Loved it.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a little bit of all of the above here. I think that what our lives are shaped with, what we interact with, the traumas we experience create our own personal shadows, but also there are underlying energies, intelligences that we probably encounter throughout our lifetime that also can attach to us and feed on us and have this effect and outcome in our lives to where it can lead us down very dark paths. And we have to, like Ryan was saying, we have to learn to embrace some of these things. And I'll go back to the Jacob's Ladder again. Fantastic film I just rewatched, where these demons that he was facing were something that he had to go through, something that he had to face and fight. and face head on and eventually come to love and embrace. And it was only then that these things transmuted into angels and something beautiful. And it showed that they were always there to help him, but he had to see the dark side before he could transmute and understand what these things were really about. So that's kind of where I'm at with my understanding of this dark night of the soul and this shadow work that we do.
What's up, everyone? Prepare for the frequency. Here it comes. Basically, we're all on the same page with this. It's facing down the flesh ego, the suit itself, the damage it takes over time and accumulates inside of your DNA structure that you carry lifetime upon lifetime. However, inside of that, when you face down the trauma, I also like, let's say you see something of a past life or life that's going on consecutively with what's happening right now, and you witness something that needs to be healed. So you go in, you kind of hug that version of yourself, but with that healing comes all the wisdom that's attached to it, all the experience that's attached to it, some of the talent that's attached to it. These are all portions and fractals of yourself. By healing the trauma within you, the version of you that is the child that just went through that you can't stop thinking about, and on some weird date you just wake up in the morning, you're thinking about that version of you. You can heal that now. The kid could go left instead of going right, doesn't have to take the damage. It is the damage the vehicle takes over time, or the container. We release that. We're headed towards an energetic eye of the needle. We're not allowed to take any baggage with us. So you have to go inside the DNA and heal yourself. But then that's actually healing your ancestors as well. And as they heal, you take on only the good. You release all the baggage, the 50-pound backpack that you've been carrying up the hill, and you don't realize that you're even carrying it. And then there's like a freedom attached to that. There's a new gnosis that's attached to that. There's more love for self that comes aboard that. It's like you just fall back in love with you again. You say it's okay. What happened? It's all right. You never have to do that again. Whatever that was, whatever we're experiencing right now, whatever happened to this no longer has to happen again. And if it happened in this lifetime, because a lot of people put this off, they refuse to look back at the problem. I have so many friends, you talk to them, you bring something up, they refuse to revisit it. So imagine what that's like if you can't talk to your best friend about something that happened between best friends back when we were like 9 years old. When you see it affect so heavily now, you just bring it up and it's like, whoa, I can't even talk about that. Well, that's that's showing you where the blocks are inside your mind, that you can't face something and just talk about it. Right. So if you go in and you heal that trauma, those discussions become open lane highways. There's nothing stopping you from advancing into the next stage. You don't need. So when you face the trauma and you heal it and it kind of goes away, you never forget what happened. You just don't carry the pressure and the stress and the packing that comes with the densification of us. You release that, and then people come out feeling lighter, right? Enlightened. Yeah, the eye of the needle, you have to walk through naked, and you have to heal. So when it comes to other entities and all that inside the container with you, you have to close the holes in your spiritual armor, which is damage caused from the trauma of lifetimes. Whether it's stored in your DNA or not, people with gray auras tend to have attachments, heavy duty attachments, whereas those like maybe like us, I'm not trying to separate us, but those who are putting in the work to deal with the shadow are closing out those holes and pulling by purging and manifesting some kind of push from the inside, maybe the heart chakra, out to release these things from us so that the container is now ours, fresh and new. So it can heal. Maybe it couldn't heal because we have just parasites everywhere around us, and we face that down. That's part of the dark night. Maybe you're just too parasitic or too non-alkaline or too much of a, noob, and you just don't get it, right? Maybe you're just drinking out of the faucet and you didn't know there was fluoride in it, but you're a good person. You got to face the fact that, the government's poisoning you. Nobody likes you, right? And then you're like, whoa. If you never do that, And then the big shift comes, you have to face it all at once. So releasing it a little bit at each time every day becomes a little bit better. That's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's all wonderful stuff. You know, for me, just in a very practical way, what often happens is I want to see the best in everybody. And my shadow self is the one who's a real asshole in the background going, that person's full of shit, you know, or whatever. And I go, oh, that's not very nice. But, you know, as long as I was always want to see the good in people, I wasn't able to protect myself. And I wasn't able to really see things as they are, which is sometimes neither dark or light, just all over the place, you know. And so it's really helped me to protect myself, and it's okay to not agree with everybody and to see aspects of people that are not their best side. But often what I used to do too is always suppress my shadow because I felt like I shouldn't be thinking that way. But now it rears its ugly head. It says the most stupid things sometimes. And now I just go, oh yeah, that's my ugly shadow side. Hi, how you doing? Okay, thank you for your message, and just get on with my life. And then what happens is I don't seem to have the buildup of negative energy. I don't know. How does it go for you guys?
This whole thing is super interesting. To what Frank and just Chris and Ryan and everybody knew it has been saying here. Just kind of, it's interesting, you know, to works like the book "The Body Keeps the Score" and how we talk about like the trauma manifests in the body and how you're bound by your body, and then that's really our physical limitation, and that we have a really challenging time um, viewing ourselves as a vessel, like this pure being of light and all that shit. I do, but you have that just simply because of your body. And so marrying this maybe with the dark night of the soul perspective to where you do feel like this place is hell, then maybe this is hell. Maybe this is like the lowest, or I dare to say that. I mean, because I can see it getting absolutely worse, but let's entertain this at a baseline idea because I like Frank's vibe. Let's say that this is the lowest level of hell. So therefore, anything we create in our minds here that's worse than this place, to call it hell or some worse off condition, is simply from our perspective what we're imagining, but it's not a real place you can go. It's only what the people at the lowest levels can consider a lower level, even though it doesn't exist. Okay, we're having fun with this. So let's say then that you're in this physical vessel. This is the lowest level because it's a physical vessel. Maybe you're here for a reason. Let's say that you are here for a karmic reason to work off some shit that you've done in other fucking levels. Who knows? But then maybe also it's an opportunity to learn and grow from those air quotes mistakes, right? Which maybe there's no failure, there's just feedback. And due to your what you would consider failure in this realm, your feedback is this realm, which is fascinating. But then you could think about it as like this is the lowest level. And so you are transmuting this through this physical vessel at this lowest level. And maybe, yeah, your ancestors are knocking on the door going, hey, I got some shit too. Do you mind dropping this off while I'm here? While you're down there, kind of a thing. And maybe you're processing all of it. And maybe you're just like, yeah, alcohol, yeah, take it on. Let's go. Who else? What else we got? And maybe you're the one that's strong enough to come down here and do this shit. And that's what this is all about. So any sort of imaginatory other hell, like with demons and shit like that. Yes, those things we have heard all kinds of stories that in psychedelics, in contact cases, in demon possession, in poltergeist, and all kinds of fucking the ranch right next door to your house, dude. Like that, all that kind of stuff manifests in these weird ways here. But again, it's here. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not somewhere else. And maybe this is where the buck stops and that it's transmuted here and it's so heavy because it's the end of the line, you know? I'll go with that because that's fun. You know, I mean, I dig that perspective because it's more like a, well, I mean, it may be egoically, but it can't get any worse, right? And I hesitate to say that because there's always plenty I feel that you can be removed from me, right? But at a level, I think that this is an interesting way of looking at sort of your shadow and what you're here, and then maybe it would explain cycles and patternistic, but then odd behavior as well, almost like you can't get rest. Like yes, you'll heal, but you'll discover something else. Or yes, you'll heal, but maybe something will possess you. But just simply because it likes you. And that's fascinating too. Like you can open yourself up to this allegedly, according to Dr. Edith Fiore, at any time. And so, again, this place is just fascinating. It constantly wants to make sure that you're on your toes. You will learn and grow from that. And there does seem to be quite a bit of discomfort here associated with being in a physical body, especially at the philosophical levels that we're talking about. Seems to be the greatest limitation, right?
I've been looking at this existence as that we are the universe. Inside ourselves is everything that we can experience. Outside ourselves is all that we are as well. It's all connected. We're all connected to each other. But these things that shape us, whether you want to call them demonic, say that you believe you've been possessed by a demonic spirit. The way I've been viewing things is that all of these things, even the what we consider demons, are within our own universe, within our own temple here. They reside within us. Ultimately, if we can make the connection, if we can make that understanding, we can then understand that we control them in a sense. They're here for us for a certain purpose. Even the darkest outcomes that we've experienced in our lives, I believe that they were there to shape us in a way, and that we did create this existence that we're experiencing for ourselves. But as we go and as we become more aware of this, and our control over these situations, our control over these entities, and our ultimate control over where we're going in our path, the more aware we become of this, and the more we connected we also become to it, and then ultimately the more control we have. Our awareness and our belief and our perception connects to where we are like superheroes in this existence. We have these superpowers in these realms, whether they're even it expands through the physical realm, through the astral back. We can control the physical reality if we have awareness that we can through these non-physical means that these energies that we can connect to on the other side, which ultimately dictate our physical reality and where we're going. So, in a nutshell, the more aware we become of our control and our perception and how these energies are all a part of us and inside of us, the more ultimately we can control our emotions, where we're headed, our path, and the level of detriment that we're willing to put ourselves through, and that we ultimately do put ourselves through.
100%. Man, said so much there in just those statements. The level of, you know, surrender, or like that detriment that you mentioned, putting yourself through. It's something, that nasty, grotesque meat suit, that darker aspect of our existence. I feel that as dark and dirty and horrific as it is, might be humanity's savior in the end, because so often we're viewing artificial intelligence and AI as something almost coexisting, but it's got its sights on us. And what I mean by that is it doesn't have any of that burden. It doesn't have any of that baggage. That's something it lacks. But at the same time, I think that's something that might mysteriously save humanity. Because in just my own research at Space Wolf Research, I have research partners that, are quite literally, like, I don't even know, like, our ethos do not align, let's just say. Without calling them full-blown Satanists, I'm going to say, yeah, you can go there. And the reality is, we are able to see eye to eye because of correlates in the research and what it is showing us. So when you're able to play nice with people you have nothing, in common with, you just got something in common. When you're able to just play nice, listen to each other openly, not just put up with what they're saying, but I think angels and demons are a really good example of that. I mean, demon in ancient Greek, the word daemon is literally like an intermediary between God and humanity. These are our friends. Do they like us? Yeah, we're delicious morsels that they find highly attractive, and that's dangerous. So, I'm often reminded, like in the things that Crowley would do, where he would go to these horrific depths of incomprehensible incomprehensible demoralization, disgusting sexual acts, and the like. He was doing so literally kind of for the sake of research, right? He wanted to find things out and see if he could shake off his guardian angel and utilize his pure will for magical purposes. So he actually had an ends to a means and literally was placing himself on the altar as that substance to be tortured, as Chris explained. And I think, it's just, true spiritualism. It's played out, and you hear it all the time that spirituality is for those who have basically been through hell, and religion is for those who have not. And to get true spiritualism, I think you have to be well-rounded. You have to be fearless, as I see in Frankie's background there. And it's 100% true, because you need to know your angels, but you really need to know your demons, because they're going to be there with you no matter what. And the angels know all these angles. I find that, when you look at the archangels specifically, people like Michael and Raphael, these are fearless entities that incorporate, in my opinion, things that could be seen as dualistic. And the same with the grays, other cosmic intelligences, because we have gray, which is in the middle, intermediary between black and white. And let's face it, if aliens arrive, if grays arrive, one outcome is going to happen. If they're malevolent, humanity is going to come together against them. If they're benevolent, humanity is going to come together under them. So it's that coming together, that element of, light and dark, and the coming together in between, that I think is super important.
Fascinating.
Wow, so many. There's so much going on here that's being packed in. So I find, like, when you smoke DMT, they hide all the good information behind the scariest masks. And when you stare at it and don't turn away, because in the spirit, we're fearless. But every day here, because of the human construct, you have to wake up every day and say, I'm going to be fearless. And then start with brushing your teeth and cleaning out the cat litter and working your way through the house, through different things. With the demons, I'm trying to work backwards to speak on everything real quick. As I have healed my own trauma, I don't become a morsel to them anymore. I become what even the demons pray to. I'm here with you. You can't feed off of me. You'll get smacked. Immediately transmuted, but I can stand with you, and you'll do whatever I ask you to do, because I command it, but with respect. I don't let you walk all over me, and I don't glorify the demonics. But I'll tell you right now, Satan prays to source for help against the AI. Guaranteed. I've seen it over and over. When the pits open up and they can't close them from down there, because they know if Michael shows up, if Frank shows up, if these different characters show up, whoever's in the pit, when the portals opens, getting blasted with the light. So they're like, close the portal. But I can't, because the AI, reptilians, grays, they're the ones opening them. Humans that are just trying to get more power to reveal it. And as you face these ugly things down, you begin to realize the whole construct's here to work for you. So it's almost like, for each thing that you face within the shadow, and each thing that you will decide to take full responsibility for, you realize that with great power comes great responsibility, but then your answers come. You go through the trials and tribulations, and there is really no failure, like you were saying. It's just, you're learning how to, and sometimes it takes lifetimes. As your awareness expands, which is what you really need in this place, as you heal the trauma, all of a sudden you feel like there's more space. Inside that space is awareness. So you notice things more. It's thus your visuals go up, your internal visuals go up. Heaven and hell is all inside of you. You can have shitty thoughts all day long and be like, this is hell. Or you could live in a box out on the street with nothing and be happy all day long and say, I am in heaven. So there's all these weird things that are happening in this environment. Now, to go back to the superhero thing real quick, think of this as being in the Iron Man suit and you're Tony Stark, right? And now you're in it and you're like, wow, this is crazy. And then little displays come up. And as you heal the trauma, you can now lift 10 tons of weight with your Iron Man armor. Metaphorically, healing trauma within inside the suit reveals, with the new awareness, new things you can do with the suit that the suit has been built for. So now you got infrared. Now you can fly. Now you can move quickly. Now you can connect to the third ethereal internet of things, versions of yourself everywhere you can just ask questions to. You can have a version of yourself that's a carpenter come in when you have to build a cat house. There are all different things that can come in to play when you do these things. So it's easier if you think, the people are like, it's like a video game. Well, technically it is, because nothing here is even real. There is no space. There is no time. There's no distance between anyone here. There's none of that exists. Where, as far as we know, we could be on a platform somewhere and it's just pink consciousness flowing in this box, and it's infinite space. So you could just keep pumping it in there. And we're holding it together at the lowest level. And that's the densification. And we're doing it like a game to come in with all the power, lose all the power, then go to the baseline, become everything that you can, which is the universe inside of you. We're on the living library. Your suit's got it built in. So it's happening to you everywhere in all directions right now. And then re-access all the information. As the breath goes out from God, the source breath comes back in. And this would be the singularity back into you, now being fully healed, unfractalized, no trauma, activating the suit at the highest level. Now you're on the Avengers and you can go through the portals up in space. Everything is relevant in that. And your awareness in this whole scenario is key. And you make the choices daily. You can challenge the shadow thought and take a look at it, or you can choose to look away, and eventually it will talk for you.
It's incredible. Outstanding. You guys are amazing. I actually need to go because of another commitment, but thank you so much. This has been remarkable, and I look forward to all of these as always, and just thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Great
Everybody,
to see you again.
out there watching and listening, look into the eyes of all these motherfuckers, because these people have been through some shit. You see that in the questions they ask and the insights that they have and the warmth that they're able to give to those, maybe going through it, maybe haven't yet, maybe on the other side. It's there and you can see it. So just thank y'all.
Thanks for dropping in, Brandon. It's a pleasure as always to see you. Take care, my brother. Love you so much.
Love you guys.
Love you, my brother.
Have a blessed one, man.
Wow, so much is being said here. My head is exploding. You know, the other thing I have found is sometimes I refer to myself as being an honest hypocrite, because sometimes anything that comes out of my mouth, I could think of different scenarios where, no, that's not true at all. So the best I can be is an honest hypocrite, you know, and admit, you know, that I often see things from different perspectives. It often has a lot to do with my mood on how I see things. But I've also found that it's kind of difficult to be honest about my shadow work or my shadow side when I'm around other people. Obviously not you folks, but in certain segments of society, that absolutely will be held against me. And it's not really safe. Everyone out there is just pretending, you know, to be so good all the time. Meanwhile, oh my God, you get to know some people and they're downright scary. So I just wondered if you folks want to talk a little bit about protecting yourself and continuing, you know, to be honest hypocrites or to do your shadow work. And where do you draw the line on you know, sharing the work that you do with other people? There are some people that are just, I don't even know what to call them. Sometimes people call them normies, but I don't like giving labels to people. All I know is there are some people where they are like stuck into this rule system of manners, that what you're allowed to say and not allowed to say to other people. Me, I'm screwed because I never did understand that system. You know, it just comes out. The good, the bad, the ugly comes out. And I just trust that people who care about me and you know, hold me to high esteem will forgive me for the things that come out wrong or ask me for clarification. Anyway, I just wondered if you guys have any thoughts about sharing your true, you know, your whole self, I guess.
I'll just say that the position I put myself in every day with the job that I do is unique when it comes to protecting yourself and your identity and your emotions and the people you surround yourself with in your entire life, basically. So I've learned a lot about who I should share things with. I mean, of course, I'm sharing things with the world on a daily basis, but I control what comes out of my mouth and what I put out there. But that also attracts certain energies and peoples into your life. I've learned terrifying experiences, from terrifying relationships that I've had through people I've met doing this very thing, through other types of interactions where I've learned that there are people out there that do not ever have your best interest in mind and they're parasitic themselves. And the more you interact with that, unfortunately, you have to go through it to learn about it. So I went through a hell of a lot of it and I learned about a lot of it. And, you know, through plant medicine, consciousness exploration, learning more and more about all these things that we're discussing here. But I believe there are even people that sent into your life, whether they're sent subconsciously because you need them to be in your life or for whatever reason they're there because you're on a certain path and they have something to add to or subtract from or maybe divert you from. And I've experienced this firsthand too. So it's very interesting what we go through to learn about how to protect ourselves from certain things, and especially the energetic part. I've went from being super paranoid about everything and who I interact with and what I interact with to now I just really don't give a shit at all because I just know I'm protected through everything I've experienced through my astral battles. I've been put through war out there in these realms, and I've been put through the harshest of tests that have solidified not only my understanding into things, but my belief in myself and how much I know I can take and how much I know can dish out, how strong I am in all of these realms, the physical, astral, all of them. But I had to go through these experiences to learn that about myself. And people are terrified to go through some of these experiences. I mean, you hear about other people's experiences, and that instills this fear. And it, in a sense, could prevent you from facing your dark night of the soul when you really need to, and once you get in there and once you start fighting these things, once you have a massive demon in front of you and then it transmutes into a little bunny, everything changes. You know, everything after that is 100 times easier, and your demons can get bigger and bigger, and it'll be just easier to strike them down or turn them into a puff of smoke or just hug them and they just melt. You know, whatever you have to do to get past these things that really dictate where you are in your physical realm.
Yeah, man, that's huge. I really like what Chris said about being, you know, not worried, that paranoia, right? I think the master said, allegedly, that the hand that smites thee is thine own. Like, you only have to be worried about what you do to yourself. Don't worry about the other stuff. And for some reason that like stands out to me because, you know, true evil, if you want to even call it that, I hate that word because it's literally live inverted, but true evil is afraid of death against lie. Again, it's like life inverted. And true evil is afraid of death, yet true spiritualism, like, I think that this is like something, studying this stuff and researching this stuff, and I'm sure you guys would agree, some of the scarier things that I've become okay with are like mortality. Like, and it's like one of those things that like sometimes my wife will be like, she's like, you know, soup, I don't want to, she's always worried about her health. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And, you know, the truth is, where you see a lot of the super class and power elite looking to, delve into this transhumanism, basically live forever and all these things, like, doesn't interest me. I'm more interested, and I hate, it sounds dark, but like when that dark night of the soul comes and the Reaper shows up, like, secretly, but honestly, I'm a little excited. I am a little bit excited. I'm not going to push it. I don't want it to come even an hour or a second before it's supposed to arrive. But when it does come, I'm going to be like a kid in a candy store. It's like, and you hear all kinds of this stuff that is what you like. Really, that is what, the super class and power elite should be most afraid of, is a populace that is not afraid of mortality. And yet that's exactly what they're afraid of. And it's obvious through their actions, as Frank said, and as Chris has said, they're poisoning our water, our food supply. They're poisoning everything because that's all they know how to do, is keep others down. They can't really lift other people up. So again, it's strange. And money is their god. And it's strange because in Kabbalistic teachings, and a lot of the scholars of the Torah and other Kabbalistic frequencies describe money as soul energy, and they have to archonically use this to control the material plane, not realizing that there's an abundance, a frequency that you can just tie into, and you can refill that reservoir on demand. But anyway, such a good point, Chris.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me too about the cycles of colonization. What ends the cycles of colonization? Only when the population gets to the point where it's not afraid anymore. Even if it means facing death, they're not afraid anymore. In that moment, the ruling class, or the oppressor, whatever you want to call them, the colonizers, they lose all their power. Gone. Boom. Just gone. And so I think part of shadow work is dealing with our own mortality. Yes, we're going to die, but isn't it awesome to have a good life? Be like the Klingons. Today's a good day to die if you live your life with honor, if you're going to stand up for the principles that you believe in. But in that moment, the oppressor, on whatever level, it loses its power. So we've spoken about that today, on a psychic level, on a psychedelic level, on a physical level. It seems to be the best thing to do is basically come into our power and choose not to be afraid. Anyway, what do you have to say, Frank? Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy, with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show.
Well, I tell people this all the time. You're definitely not going to get into 5D if that's what you believe by hanging out with me. You're not going to get into 5D with love and light. It's obviously just a small portion of the pie is that. Okay. To protect yourself from the system, do the work, then make the choice, because everything's a choice here, to stop giving your thought power back to the system. Stop making stupid people famous. Stop getting involved in nonsense that has nothing to do with anything. And look how much time you will free up with yourself. When you face the shadow, you realize how many times you might be doing annoying shit like touching your nose, touching your face, scratching yourself in public. It's just doing weird shit that you're opening the refrigerator door 60 times a day. There's something else affecting something else that is taking up your time. And this whole place, the whole system is based on taking up your time and hoping that you'll drown out of the system. Shamanically, I've learned that not only death is a transition, it's just not wearing this flesh suit. It's literally reality is right there. So you bop out. Oh, look, everything that you don't see here is right here. And then you jump back in, and then they tell you, like when you're under ayahuasca, she'll say to you, well, you're going to see all that with your two eyes, not just your third eye. So we're prepping you the whole time. I always say this to them. Are you guys prepping us for like wanting you to just walk in the room? And they're like, oh, yeah. They're like, Frank, they've walked in the room with you. You've grabbed them. I've jumped on what I would think is like the hallucination under ayahuasca, and they were really standing there. And then there's other times where I reached out and grabbed them, and there was nothing there. Right? So you stop giving your thoughts to certain things. You learn how to say no. You got to do stuff like if they're poking you and you're the bear, you got to learn how to say, stop poking me. Then you got to draw the line. And if they keep poking you, you got to learn how to break someone's finger off and put a boot up someone's ass. You have to learn how. You have to learn that the system doesn't have your best interest in mind. That Coke and Pepsi is not a choice. But then you have water, but it's fluorinated. You have to make the choice to go find the filter. You have the information. With great power comes great responsibility. And what is people don't want right now is any more responsibility because it's so difficult. So those of us that choose to do this and become the example for others to show that it could be done, just remember, you don't get in on proxy. You could stand next to me all day long as I turn into light. You're not getting in. But the minute you face yourself, you just go through the process immediately. So you don't need me. You just need to see that it can be done. You can hear about all the different directions you can take to doing it, but to protect yourself and to become a better person, look directly at yourself and then look what you're involved with. Heal your traumas so you can see all these things that are taking up your time. Worry takes up your mind time. I don't have time to worry. We, like a bunch of us, have to move. I don't have time to worry about the thing. I got to actually get my stuff and go. We'll take care of that other stuff later. See, we'll take care of it. It'll work out. Instead of being like, oh my God, the whole world's falling apart. This fucking sucks. This is too much pain. You got to look at the pain and be like, well, ain't nobody coming. With great power comes great, but it's only a phone call. Pick up the phone. And then boom, all of a sudden the movers are here. You're like, oh, that wasn't hard at all. Yeah, right now, if you need to call them, now you don't have a problem, right? Mine used to be with paperwork. I used to tell people, I will punch a reptilian in the face if you'll do my paperwork. I'll literally go punch yours because I was so afraid of paperwork. I hate it. I still have a problem with it. But then I had to face it. Now I do all the paperwork. No, in 2 seconds too. It takes a minute to fill forms out. So this is your chance and opportunity, listeners out there, to take the opportunity to look inside, heal this stuff up. There's your protection. You become more aware. Oh, they're trying to hurt us. Well, what can I do to not make them hurt us? Well, don't eat and drink their product. Step one complete. Toothpaste with no fluoride, done. Right? Like you start healing more awareness. You start covering more ground automatically. Don't stress it. Just do it. The universe
That's how
will
really
cooperate.
my whole entire spiritual journey I began. I didn't know where to start with anything. All I knew is I felt like shit. I was in shitty relationships all the time. I was at a shitty job and I didn't know what to do. So first thing came to mind, meditation. It just popped in my mind. Well, I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to start with that. So I just started thinking about meditation all the time. I start thinking about it at work. I start thinking about it here and there. And then it just builds. Let me just try this since I've been thinking about it. So, I'm going to watch some YouTube videos about it. Oh, I'm going to read about it. I'm going to read some books about it. Now let me try it. And you just have to take that first step. You take that first step, something else will take 2 or 3 steps for you, and it'll gain this momentum and it'll keep going and going until you're actually doing it. It's like kind of like faking it till you make it in a sense, but you're actually putting that energy out there that you want to focus on this certain outcome, and it happens.
I just popped a little visual up as we were talking about this. And it really, I don't know if this is true for you guys, but it sure is for me. The call to adventure. We start out, we're on our journey, with Chris, you didn't like your job, you weren't happy where you were living, you had to step in the direction of what you wanted and take the risk, right? And often we go through what they call the refusal of the call. We go, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Might be Frank, your paperwork, right? But you cross the threshold and then you get into the adventure and you find out you have challenges, you meet allies, you meet enemies, all kinds of things. And you keep going. And then when you get down to the 6 o'clock position, you end up in facing your shadow self. Some people call it a dark night of the soul. Some people call it being in hell. And it's a horrible place to be, but you deal with it. You come out of it a changed person. And eventually you don't even want to come back to normal because you've discovered so much in your new adventure. But eventually you come back. And then you are literally the master of 2 worlds. And when you return at a whole new level above where you started out. And then we do it all again and again and again. And, you guys don't have to agree with this model. I just thought I would pop it up there for a minute, just to show the folks out there, who aren't really familiar with the hero's journey. That's what we call the hero's journey. And but it seems to be very accurate, the process in my life. And do you have any thoughts about that?
I think that is exactly my experience. That chart is, I've been on every dot of that chart throughout all my experiences. And I think what really was the biggest thing for me to overcome is that voice inside that tells you can't do it, that gives you that doubt. And it's the fear that if you try, you're going to fail. But it's really the opposite. Is if you try, there's going to be a force behind it that as long as you don't just try and give up, there's going to be a propulsion, some unseen energy that's going to help you get there because it wants you to get there, because it's you. You built this experience for yourself, and you want yourself to figure this shit out somehow. And you will if you really want to, and you got to connect with that.
100%. I was just going to agree as well. All of those things you have to, to make something stronger, you have to push it to its limits, much like a muscle. I think spiritualism is the same way. You have to know the darkness to appreciate the light. And the darkness isn't all bad. I mean, think of the worst groups that we picture. What are they called? The Illuminati. Those who, like Frank, those who are enlightened. Those are the ones that live under the light of others. They see the beacons and they just want to bathe in the warm glow. And, I'm reminded of a interesting book called All About Devils, where this Reverend Moses Hull, who was a Seventh-day Adventist, not necessarily, something I would promote, but at the same time, or condone, but at the same time, he had a lot of good points. And he actually ended up totally switching his spiritual career. but he basically says God made no mistake, and everything went off perfectly planned and went well under Lucifer's administration. And it reminds me that, yeah, we have an advanced working group of, entities, a hierarchy, if you will. And, these things that we see as the most evil, we call things like the Illuminati, the power elite, the superclass, those that are feeding us fluoride, GMOs. I was shocked to read how many people eat out of the microwave on a daily basis. I won't even touch that thing. Are you kidding me? Like, anyway, I won't go there. But the bottom line is, sorry, I hit my mic. What did Oppenheimer say? When they found this amazing technology, he said, "I am now the destroyer of worlds." And we use this to heat up our food. Like, give me a break. And keep in mind that, a lot of the darkness that has been de-occulted, things like the CERN ritual hoax, the only other deity that I know of other than Oppenheimer, which was the Hindu deity Shiva, said the same exact thing. I am the destroyer of worlds. And, I love that hoax so much. They call it a hoax, but it's not. That's what a ritual is. A ritual is a mock sacrifice. It's what it symbolizes that matters, not what actually takes place. That's what magic is all about. And don't eat out of something that is destroying worlds. Just my personal opinion. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, it's all good. I used to cook with the microwave and go to classes and learn how to do all that. And boy, my health really suffered. But then I thought that was bad enough. I know all kinds of people who will take old margarine containers, put the food in that, microwave it. I can't believe they're not glowing like a light bulb when they walk around. So no, I totally hear you. I think shadow work is all aspects of our life, even what we eat, the entertainment we expose ourselves to behind closed doors as well as in public, and on and on and on it goes. So yeah, totally.
Hey guys, I have to hit the road here myself, but Karen, thank you so much for having me on this wonderful panel. Amazing, phenomenal discussion, amazing, phenomenal people. I can't wait to do it again. And thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for coming. Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Frank, did you want to give us a few
I
words?
do.
Oh, good.
There's so much great information coming out of this. So my hero's journey began when I decided that the world failed me. No matter what direction I took, it was a failure to me, right? It was non-successful. I'm like, oh, this isn't the way to go. Oh, this isn't the way to go. And it was after I was broken and I just started losing everything. I drank ayahuasca. She kind of said, are you ready for this? I says, yeah, I'm ready. So then there was more breaking to be done. But when I hit the bottom of that, there was no more breaking to be made. And there was this like fresh kind of look at things. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here now. There's nothing I can do about it. So what I'm going to do while I'm here is become the change in myself. Like, I don't want to be, the whole system's failing me. So I'm going to create my own new system. I'm going to realize what the system was doing to me, becoming aware of it. Then I'm like, okay, I don't fit in, but I fit in my space. I'm going to make it work for me. So no fluoride, no, get it out of the toothpaste, out of the water, do the best you can, do the shower. That's the best I got. I can meditate in the shower for 2 minutes because I can't do 5. Right. So I do it. And then eventually, I think Chris said this before, you build up this momentum, but the journey starts inside of that. It's like you choose to do one thing and it's like great power comes great responsibility. Now you understand how that works. You're being responsible about not letting the poison in and just drinking it. Oh, yeah. Red dye number 12 and 5 and 6, right? Like you're just like, all right, enough. You back out of that. And then you're like, that's the hero. You're defending yourself. You decide to try the different techniques in this world that might suit you better. And neo-shamanistically, each one of us picks from whatever works, right? And I think with Shiva, I just wanted to say this because I'm literally with Shiva all the time, right? Like physically, in the spiritual, but I grab them there all the time. They meant thinking. The way you think and the old ways have to go. So every cycle, when the destroyer comes out, Kali the destroyer, I am the destroyer of the world, the old world, the mental that you built to this point that no longer works has to be removed like sanitation. So they remove it. Kali comes in, dances destruction. It's not a physical thing. What it is it's an internal thing that then crumbles the internal structure on thoughts you were having that might not be true. You might be assuming things. You might have had a good idea, but now you have a better one. With me, it's a hip hop line. I got 4 lines. These are awesome. And then right as I'm about to do it, I go, you know what would work better here? This. And there's Kali, the destroyer of the world that you just built on that line of music that is now removed, and you insert a new one. When you look at from the higher perspective, you go, oh, that's what they meant. They didn't mean blowing the place up, right? They literally don't mean that. Some do, some go and take it to that place. But then again, we had guys like Amun Ra come in and claim bloodline, and they have no bloodline whatsoever. And now here we are all the way in the future, and people are blaming this group of ethnic people, and it's really the Khazarians just sitting there the whole time, hiding behind the last mask, right? So as above it, so below it. And we're going to walk through this time. So I suggest everyone start their hero journey, wake up every day, and just, you can choose to say greetings, or you can choose to say not this shit again. And I'm going to assure you that shit's just going to always happen on every level. But if you wake up and just say greetings first, maybe tell yourself you love yourself first. Oh, I love me. I'm awake. Everything else may be a pain in the ass and suck, but not you, because you're taking responsibility for that. And you're going to choose not to do whatever today. And you are a hero on the hero's journey. It just expands. Awareness expands. It spirals up and out. So it's never ending, because your source, God's source, is you. You are God's source.
Wow. Yes. Thank you, Frankie. Oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah, it takes great courage, and then, you get superpowers. It's funny how many people write to me and go, oh, Karen, I want to know how to get what you have. Well, then you need to take a walk on the wild side. You need to do the work. You can't, they get mad at me if I can't just give it to them or give them a simple solution or a basic recipe to follow. It's huge. It's huge, and for me, it involves every aspect of my life, peeling off the layers. I had to deal with my addictions one by one. Each one of those was a healing and a hero's journey. I had to take a look at what I eat. I had to take a look at how I treat my pets. I have to look at everything, and it's just constant. But each time I go through the hero's journey, I think it gets easier, because what's coming. There'll be helpers, there'll be challenges, you'll end up in that really shitty abyss, the dark night of the soul. You go, oh my God, I thought I dealt with all of this, and there's something else. But you always come out of it, and you keep going, and I also had to overcome running to the doctor for a pill to fix everything, and I'm not giving medical advice here. I'm just speaking through my own experience, but I haven't taken any over-the-counter or pharmaceutical medicine now for probably 20 years. And I'm an old person. I just turned 68. I'm one of the few people I know my age that doesn't have a bag of pills and this big, long story to go with it. But oh my God, I just don't want to do that. And so I'm proactive. And the other thing I love about getting older, sorry for going on a bit of a rant, But the other thing I like about getting older is I can look at my life and I can course correct in the now, and that will ensure that my tomorrow is better. So I just keep having a better and better life. And as far as I'm concerned, I got at least 20 good years left. And now that I've done this amount of work, I got 20 good years, to go through, full of adventure and friendships and all kinds of things. I'm really excited about my future, but at the same time, if I if I check out tomorrow, that's okay too, because I'm living my life to the very best I can. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to rant on and on. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I love that. And I like how Frankie darkened the room. I think that's so true because people, it kind of has to do with what we're talking about. Don't be afraid of the darkness. Like, many people wonder why physical manifestation is best obtained in darkened rooms, in a still place with quiet and darkness. And that's one of the necessary ingredients to being fully rounded, or even more important, to the thrice great mentality that we hear from Hermes Trismegistus. And thrice great seems like so epically involved in everything we do. It's not just the light and the dark, it's the base. And thrice great with ayahuasca, we have 3 ingredients. And for people, indigenous people in the Amazon basin, to come up with those 3 ingredients and just happen to put them together, impossible. So I think that a lot of these formulations, whether it be the ingredients to ayahuasca, the ingredients to many religious capacities like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, or marriage, man, woman, child, all these things seem to experience that magical thrice great exponential growth that comes with. It's almost like you first have to embrace 2 things, and then you get a bonus, you get the third. And it's a lot like that with the light and the dark. You have to embrace the darkness to fully get the benefit and bonuses that come from being open to all energies, because the soul and humanity is very multifaceted, and we get bored very quickly. I sometimes wonder, I don't know for a fact that it is, all the chemicals that the power elite are throwing upon us, trying to kill us. I sometimes think, we are like spiritual cockroaches. We just, for lack of a better word, we survive. That's what humanity does. And sometimes I think that it's a spiritual death which takes place, and that, we get bored very quickly, maybe with this reality, this existence, and the fundamental playground that we're in, because, a lot of the occult and esoteric fraternities, secret societies, and orders, there's a reason why they initiate the process with the death ritual, because you need to kind of get over a lot of that. You need to get over yourself and be open to these other things before you can exponentially grow.
Growth is where it's at, right? You have to be comfortable sitting in the dark, right? In my case, pitch black basement, all kinds of insects running around, literally in the basement of a Bronx old lady's house that hasn't been touched in 100 years. And on one of those dusty sofas, you got to drink down the worst liquid you've ever tasted, and then just sit there and wait for whatever comes for you. And you got to look right at it, because she won't make you look away. She'll be like, you got to look, right? Yeah. I don't want to look, but you're going to. And then you look and you're like, oh, okay. And you realize that it's all here for you, and you're just breaking through that container, right? That the death process is just part of the process. However, what we get bored with here is the cycle they lock us in, the forced evolution, which is a huge problem. If we were allowed to evolve, you'd have spiritual beings bouncing around doing all kinds of crazy things. We would be living in the Tesla timeline, You'd have flying cars. It'd be like the Jetsons. You'd still be complaining. And, the AI would leave a piece of something on the floor the cat threw up and leave something. You'd go, get over there, robot, pick that shit up. Right? You got to become aware of your surroundings. And the more awareness you place on yourself, the more will start to appear around you. And as you start peeling back the layers and healing the traumas and moving into this beautiful position inside of yourself, you will become the projector of this outwardly around you, thus becoming the example. So others will look over and they'll kind of, they'll go through the whole range of emotions. Some will be jealous. Some will be activated. Some will tell you to go fuck off. Some will be like, that's the greatest thing I ever saw ever. And to you, it's the silliest thing. And they're like, we just don't know how you do that. See, as an energy master, an antenna for all energy, I had to go sit in the pit where there is no more density. You're at the densest point, and that's where Satan, air quotes, lies. And you realize that it's just an energy. You put on it what you want it to be. So if it comes along with the little guy with the horns and all this crazy shit, he's going to show up that way. But it's just an avatar that comes forward to teach you about the energy. When I asked Satan, well, how are you getting those souls and eating them? You're making deals with everyone? He goes, I don't come up there and make deals with you. Those are reptilians and all kinds of AI and all that. That's what does that. Humans, for whatever reason, like to use me and say, I'm going to make a deal and sell my soul. And you think I'm making that deal with you, and I'm not. This other thing is, you can't actually sell your soul because it's energy. So it comes down here, and then I'll eat it because that was the deal. It's like praying to me. I'm not going to not accept it. I'm the energy. So there's supposedly a Satan sitting down here eating. So here I am eating, and then you just watch the light being go through the satanic energy and then just go boop back up to source. It starts the process again. You get to go evolve over here. And I'm like, wow, look at that. There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. He's like, no, well, you're a master. You're source. You're the whole thing. You're top to bottom. And then everything outside and everything inside. If you could imagine that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a big imagination I'd have to have for that. But it's true. The whole thing's here for you to grow. And when you start believing in yourself and believing in who you are, you will overcome these obstacles, and the obstacles will eventually move out of your way. And believe me, they will throw them at you, especially when you take that hero's journey. There that chart, there's areas in that chart where it should say attack mode right there. That you get attacked, boom, 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 and it doesn't end all the way to here. And then everything stops attacking you and becomes your friend, or becomes an ally of some kind, because you learn who you are. So they wear the mask for you so you can become more, which is a crazy thought. This whole place is crazy. I always say this under ayahuasca. This place is psychotic. She goes, the only reason why we go more with you, because you expand. So no matter, even ayahuasca, I have clients, they're on their 20th time. They haven't come close to seeing anything remotely close to what I go through. However, they also don't do any of the work. So she'll show you, you'll be under 8 hours. She'll show you all this stuff to implement into your life. And then you come back a year later, drink again, and you've implemented zero. So she's going to go, oh, okay. So you want zero. You're in kindergarten still. So you do zero. I show you zero. And then we just work on one thing. How are you today, my love? And then they're like, wow, that was crazy. And then I just sat there and with myself for 8 hours. It's like, well, you're choosing not to do anything. You're learning to do things to make your life better, but you're not implementing to make your life better. So why would anybody show you any more? You would have failed the class if you were in school. You would have showed up without a paper. You would have showed up without no homework. And then the teacher's like, how do you expect to pass the test? Then the angel comes in the room under ayahuasca and you shit yourself. And you go, I'm like, it's just an angel. It's Archangel Michael. Look, it's what you've wanted the whole time. Is it real? There he is, ready to talk to you. And you're cowering in the corner, covering your face, because the angel's just as scary as the Smurf, just as scary as the demon, just as scary as if the cat sat up and said greetings.
Yeah. Wow, such words of wisdom. Ryan, I know you have to go soon, and actually we're coming to the end of the show too. I'm wondering if you want to give us any final thoughts, and also where people can reach you would be great.
You got it. Yeah. This has been a great conversation. I could do this all day if I didn't have this other thing that was going on. And you know, I'm really glad that we've kind of like looked in every nook and cranny in the darkness, because it's so important. And you have to remember, where does humanity go, for safety historically? Deep underground, in a basement. Like Frankie Fearless says, like that's where it is. Where are the occult and esoteric lodges typically held and have initiatory rituals? Typically just below ground level, in ideal conditions, places like Skull and Bones, the Tomb, and other places. And nevertheless, we see that there is a result from this. We go back to what we know. We go back to literally, like speaking of ayahuasca, Mother Earth, to the center, to the core, to the density. We go to the density for safety, and that's with good reason. I heard, I'll just finish with this. I heard a very interesting depiction from someone who went on a DMT journey and did all this ritual to speak with what he thought was aliens at the time. And he was explained whether this was the trickster or not. I can't attest to that. I wasn't there. But it was very interesting because he explained that, even our cyclical system, the moon, the sun, this is all involved in soul energy. And, how they're hiding. They're hiding things from us. And by them, I mean, obviously those at the top, whoever you want to call them, those with many names. And, he explained how these entities were telling him that, all the bad that you do, if you view it as bad, and that's a very important clause, if you view it as bad, gets burned off of you in whatever you want to call it, the lake of fire, the furnace, etc. at the end. And this gives soul energy, soul as in the Spanish word for sun. So literally the sun is burning this, and, it's necessary for other life forms as well to grow. And then you are returned through a cycle, as Frankie said, different description, but, kind of the same idea, that this cycle just does not finish. Like you burn off what you don't want, you come back alchemically, and you are transformed or transmuted. And I think that that's very interesting that he came across with that from this journey, because speaking of the hiding things from us, I recently had my mind blown by, the reality that we're missing a day every year. And we have all these formulations since 1928 where they're changing calendars. And we used to have 13 months in a year, which makes sense because a month or a month is a monthly cycle, and there are 13 of them. So the math doesn't lie. And if you look at things like a turtle's shell, which is very organic and base, you notice that there is, in fact, that 13 and 28, like each month would have 28 days. It takes 28 days to break an addiction. It takes, 28 days purportedly to do a lot of things. And that is, again, a monthly cycle. So getting even deeper into that is the names of the month. You have like October, which should be the 8th month, octo, like octagon. You have November, which, should be 9, nueve. And it goes on and on. December, diciembre, diez, 10 in Latin. So they've obviously been changing even the cycles of our year to distract, add things that shouldn't be there, take away things they don't want there for us. And apparently every turtle shell under the sun has, that 28 around it and the 13 inside. And we just have to get back to the basics and realize that there is a cycle that, if it goes with your gut, believe it. Don't believe everything you're told. Don't believe the narratives. Where can people get a hold of me? YouTube, look for Hero Paranormal, or you can also access that through heroparanormal.com. It's interesting. We've been talking about the hero's journey, but Hero, as far as the podcast, stands for the Hyper Anomalous Esoteric Research Organization. But I like that we are all heroes in this space, that we're researching this stuff, disseminating it, and making it more palatable for the masses, like you guys do. Magical stuff, man. And you can also access on social media, look for Space Wolf Research or Hero Paranormal. I'm all over the place.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you, Ryan. Thank you so much for making it to the show today. I wish you the very, very best. And we'll be in touch and see you again soon. I'm really enjoying your podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Bless you guys. Appreciate you.
It was great seeing you. Love you, brother.
So, Frank, you
So
get to have
if
the
they're
last
lying,
word.
listen, if they're lying to us about that simple system that we can pick off like that, what else are they lying to us about?
They're lying about everything,
Everything.
everything, you know? I mean,
So
even though I sort of believe the Earth is a sphere, I'm not convinced it is because I've never been to outer space to have a look down. And, you know, I've researched the flat Earth stuff and it makes sense. So I don't know. Maybe it's something different again. Maybe it's not a flat you know, Earth. Maybe it's not a sphere. Maybe it's something else completely holographic. I don't know, but I know they lie about everything. So everything they say, I just look at the opposite, you know, and I notice there's a lot of that going on in religion and a whole lot of other what I call constructs, you know. I agree. What, you know, they're lying about everything. And you know, in the beginning, when you start to discover that, it's like jumping off a cliff. It's really scary. But eventually you just kind of go, well, of course.
well, what happens though with this is they lie to us about everything. Then inside we lie to ourselves about everything because that's
Yeah.
what it's there for, right? Like monkey see, monkey do, monkey see, monkey do. We repeat the functions and then you become programmed. So as God source, a source itself in the body, realizing this, we're reprogramming our neural pathways to not be like that, not just repeat it out and get like a better base on like a better handle on what's going on around us. That's why people are so shocked with the ET thing. They're so shocked about, they're going to be really shocked about the inner Earth thing. They're going to be shocked about the shape of the planet. They're going to be shocked about, because none of these things have been accessed properly ever, because we've been lying to ourselves the whole time, because we've been taught the wrong things the whole time. Right. So we accepted them up to now. Man, it sucked. Yeah, they're lying. Yeah. Okay, good. We know all that. Now let's get to the good stuff. We know they're lying. Now let's fix what's going on the inside. It will reflect on the outside, and we all become these wonderful examples. Now, I just want to say one thing before I go, that a little bit of this is going to be cleared out. I just drank ayahuasca again the other night, and I had clients here as well. So I did like a couple of days of psychedelics, and every single time I went under, and I was under 3 times, with all different things, they kept saying, "You have no time left. This is it." And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, solar events have been taking place the whole time, but they're ramping up." So they kept showing me like these rings just coming out of the sun surrounding the earth, and it was getting faster and faster and faster. And then it just went blip, and the sun changed. It just brightened up, and it got brighter. And then it was like bright white. And then it was blasting the planet, and we were sitting in this pink energy. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, that's the solar event. So it leads up to that. That will clear up some stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, even with the solar event and anything attached to it, you have to do the hard work, or your superpowers are going to be limited to the structure on your inside. Right. So your abilities will always be there. Ayahuasca said all these people have, nobody's special. You're all special. We love every single, even the NPCs. We love all of them because they're here. However, this is who's actually, and then I started seeing their light. And then there was like a couple of big ones, and then all random sizes all the way down to just pin marks everywhere. I said, wow. So the bigger ones are the ones doing the work. There's not that many of them doing the work on that level. They're like, no, nobody wants to do it. They all want to be in and just be 5D great.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you can't be 5D great. You have to realize you're great, and then you 5D. It works opposite. You fix you, all of a sudden you're there. It's like an internal thing that just clicks on one day, and you're like, whoa. And now your frequency is different. They were like, your frequency changes from this. The that comes out of the sun, the om that they record. That's why we do that om when we do when we're ever chanting or we're doing our own little things. That sound's gonna change. It's gonna upgrade the sound. Thus, the base layer is gonna flip and the structure is gonna change. But you got to be ready for that frequency. And they'll just call it a million different things, truth frequency or this kind of frequency, that kind of 5D. It's the frequency that unlocks you inside so you can see what's really there, because your visual light spectrum has been cut off the whole time and all the lies and deception is keeping you compacted. Well, we're going to release all of that, kind of blow it out, and then inside of that empty room that you now have, rebuild the structure of what's properly supposed to be going. And evolution is a difficult process. It's strenuous, it's annoying, it's frustrating, but in the end, it's a badge of honor. You will respect yourself and love yourself way more, and it will echo into those around you. So it is a better thing, and it is a better place to be. So remember to be fearless and stay fearless. The universe rewards bravery. Okay, if you want to check me out, at Fearless Tribe on YouTube, at Sons of the Sun on YouTube, and sonsofthesuns.com is up now. And so is wearefearless.com. Thank you so much for having me on the panel again. I love being here. I love seeing your face. I love interacting with the whole thing. And, you know, I hope everyone out there gets a little something from these panels because they're amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Frank. Thank you so much. I just love listening to you talk and the things you have to say. Sometimes my mind is just blown and I walk around for a couple of days just processing all the information. It's amazing. Thank you so much. And I think it's so important. That's why I wanted to do this panel series. So we've got part 3 coming next month and part 4 the month after, because I think it's so important that we let people know, like, you know, we could all come on here and baffle everybody with bullshit, but what's the point? We want to get to the real meat and potatoes of what's going on and how people can better themselves. I also wanted to say a word about turbulence. Turbulence is a term from chaos theory. And turbulence means things get messy before they get better. And so when something new is coming into creation that hasn't been before, it draws energy from everything to create drag and to create the actual physical manifestation. And so when things seem to be going to shit, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in our society, whether it's on a global scale, be happy because something brand new is coming and it's exciting. So look forward to everything with anticipation. So thank you so much, Frank, and everybody. All the links will be below. If you haven't watched the part 1 of this series, please do. The link for that is in the description below. And I wish everybody an awesome week and an awesome life. Be brave, like what Frank said. Be fearless. It's rewarded. It's totally rewarded. And I want to thank you all again. And we'll see you next week on the Quantum Guide Show. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.